He ignores you. But you still wait for his message. Wayne mind shift psychology. It usually starts with one person becoming your entire emotional world. Not slowly. Fast. Too fast. You meet him, and suddenly your days feel different. Your mood depends on his texts. Your heart races when his name appears. You sleep smiling after late-night calls. And for the first time in a long time, you feel chosen. He says things no one ever said before. You're different. I've never opened up like this. I feel peace with you. And because you're genuine, you believe him. You start imagining a future. You start emotionally attaching. You give him your softness, your attention, your loyalty. And for a while, everything feels beautiful. But then something changes. Not suddenly. Quietly. His replies become colder. The calls become shorter. The effort disappears. You feel it immediately. Women always feel emotional distance before men admit it. But instead of asking, why is he changing? You start asking, what did I do wrong? That is where the emotional damage begins. Now every little thing affects you. If he replies late, your mood changes. If he sounds dry, your chest feels heavy. If he ignores you for hours, your mind creates 100 painful scenarios. And the scary part is, he notices this. A narcissistic man notices when your emotional stability depends on him. That is when the power balance shifts. Now he knows, you love harder than he does. And some toxic men become addicted to that feeling. Not love. Control. He starts disappearing emotionally, then returning suddenly. One night he ignores you completely. The next day he says, "Baby, I've just been stressed." And your heart melts instantly. Not because the pain disappeared, but because you were emotionally starving. That one little moment of affection feels like relief. Like oxygen. And this is how toxic attachment traps people. Not through constant pain, but through inconsistency. Because your brain keeps chasing the version of him from the beginning. The loving version. The soft version. The man who once made you feel special. So every time he becomes cold, you work harder emotionally. You become more understanding. More patient. More forgiving. You ignore things that secretly break your heart. You accept behavior you once promised yourself you'd never tolerate. And slowly, you stop recognizing yourself. You become anxious all the time. Checking your phone repeatedly. Reading old chats at night. Wondering why he changed. Sometimes he watches your stories but ignores your messages. Sometimes he acts loving in private but distant in public. Sometimes he says, "I don't want to lose you," while doing the exact things hurting you. And the confusion becomes unbearable. Because toxic people rarely give full closure. They give mixed signals. Enough affection to keep hope alive. Enough distance to keep you insecure. And hope is dangerous when attached to the wrong person. Because now you are no longer loving peacefully. You are surviving emotionally. Your friends notice it too. They tell you, "You've changed." But you defend him. You say, "He's not bad, he's just going through something." Deep down, you know you're unhappy. But your heart keeps remembering the good moments. That random long call. That one night he became vulnerable. That message where he said, "I need you." And those moments keep you emotionally trapped. Because women don't usually stay for the pain. They stay for the possibility that the good version will return permanently. But sometimes the good version only appears when he feels you pulling away. And this is where the cycle becomes dangerous. The moment you emotionally detach, he suddenly comes back stronger. Now he misses you. Now he changes. Now he becomes emotional. He texts paragraphs. Calls repeatedly. Acts softer than ever before. And your heart says, maybe this time it's real. But notice the pattern. Why does he only value you when he feels your absence? Why does your pain never affect him as much as your distance does? Because some people don't fear hurting you. They fear losing access to you. And that realization breaks many women emotionally. Because now they must face the hardest truth. The person they love may also be the person emotionally draining them. And still, they cannot leave. Not fully. Because attachment is powerful. Especially when the relationship becomes part of your identity. You wake up thinking about him. Sleep thinking about him. Replay conversations in your head. Even after crying because of him. You still wait for his message. That is emotional addiction. And emotional addiction feels exactly like love in the beginning. But real love does not constantly destroy your peace. Real love does not make you afraid of silence. Real love does not make you beg for reassurance every week. The saddest thing about toxic relationships is this. A woman slowly starts shrinking herself just to keep the connection alive. She becomes quieter about her needs. She tolerates disrespect to avoid conflict. She accepts emotional crumbs because she's terrified of losing him completely. And one day she realizes. I have been fighting for someone who stopped fighting for me a long time ago. That moment changes everything. Because eventually exhaustion becomes stronger than attachment. One day she stops arguing. Stops begging. Stops explaining. And that silence scares him more than tears ever did. Because tears mean you still care loudly. Silence means something inside you is finally breaking free. And suddenly, the man who ignored your pain starts panicking. Now he wants your attention. Now he wants to talk. Now he notices your value. But sometimes, people only realize your importance after your emotional dependency disappears. And by then, something inside you has changed forever. You still love him. But you also finally see him clearly. And clarity destroys toxic fantasy. You realize. Love alone cannot save a relationship where respect, peace, and emotional safety no longer exist. And that realization hurts. But it also heals. Because the moment you stop chasing toxic love, you slowly start returning to yourself. You laugh again. Sleep peacefully again. Feel emotionally stable again. And for the first time in a long time, your happiness no longer depends on one person's attention. That is real emotional freedom. If you've ever stayed too long. If you've ever cried over someone but still waited for their message. If you've ever loved someone who slowly destroyed your peace. You are not alone. Comment below. What hurt more, the way they treated you, or realizing how much you tolerated because you loved them? And subscribe to Wayne Mind Shift Psychology for more deep emotional truths, dark psychology, narcissistic relationship analysis, and mind-shifting content that feels painfully real.